wasn't a big man. He only had a few rocks in his hand. But he knew, yeah, he knew what he could do, yeah. So when Goliath came toward him, he put on that brave, bright grin, and he let that slingshot do what it was made to do. Show him that you're not afraid. Show him that you're not afraid. When worries try to fight you, don't let them get in the way. Show him that you're not afraid. Show him that you're not afraid. No matter what you go through, come on and be brave. Show him that you're not. Show him, show him. We've all got bullies and bowlfuls. They show up and they push and they pull. And we hide and we cry, but we should realize that courage comes when we choose it. When we decide we just won't quit. Yeah, I know you can do it. Get to it. Show them that you're not afraid. Show them that you're not afraid. When worries try to fight you, don't let them get in the way. Show them that you're not afraid. Show them that you're not afraid. No matter what you go through, come on and be brave. Show them that you're not.
All right, buddy. Big topic tonight.
Yes.
And,
paranormal activity. I think everybody is curious when you see the topic come up. If you're watching a TV show, it is an instant glue factor and an instant wow factor. And we've got that wow factor tonight.
You got the wow factor, but I'm a little concerned that you're not ready, because if you remember last Halloween, you told me I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Now I
ain't afraid of no ghosts. No.
But I got the proof that you were. Watch this.
I'm not gonna get scared. There's no way. Get out of here!
You were very scared that night, my friend.
I maybe just a little bit of the scare factor. Of course, that was Mark Lacroix and his famous haunted house on Toke Street.
So I don't know. You're acting tough all day, but if you're sweating, take off your sweatshirt. Take off the toque. Just breathe through it, my friend.
That's right. Yeah, we've got quite the show. I know people have been tugging at our coat strings all afternoon, going, I can't wait to get into this topic. And again, it's not too often you get paranormal consultants and consultants and advisors on our show, and that's who we're going to be chatting with tonight.
shout out to Robin Allen for making it happen.
Yes. Thanks so much, Robin. She said you need to talk to these guys. So guess what, Robin? We listened, and we've got Richard and Katie coming up very shortly. And just wanted to say, I wanted to put this banner up here. Just like our previous nights, another chance to do some winning. All you have to do is comment. You can tell us where you're watching the show from. Just say hello. Maybe pop in a comment for Richard and Katie, and you have a chance to win tonight. We're giving away 2 free passes of skiing or snowshoeing. That's at Porcupine Ski Runners from Christine Dorian. And we're also giving away a free week of tanning from Bermuda Tan from Gail Mills. So that's some exciting wins on tonight's show.
Yeah, exciting wins, pal. You got it. So
yeah.
They are going to be answering a lot of questions, because we had a good debate on the last show whether there's ghosts, right? We talked about spirits, but I was on the side of there's no ghosts, but I was on the unpopular opinion there.
Well, I believe in them. I think we've all been there. I told you the story. I worked at a haunted radio station in Owen Sound. Country 93 was where I worked. And when I took the interview, even before I got the job, they stated, "Are you afraid of any paranormal activity?" And I said, "Okay, you got to be kidding me. What's going on?" And then, of course, the whole stable boy, story comes out where, the radio station was built on, a stable that burnt down, hundreds of years ago. And then the radio station was built on that ground. And stable boy still, apparently, they did some smudging. They got the entity out of the station. I was talking to a couple employees that still work there, and they say, even though they've done the smudging, they still get the odd sighting and the odd noise that comes through that building still from him.
There we go, pal.
Yeah.
So we're just checking in and saying hello to everyone, and then we're going to bring on our guests.
That's right.
Top of the evening
Top of the evening to you, Tom and Karen Luke. Joanne, I'll tell you, the Mac is haunted, is it, Joanne?
That's right. So many so many comments already.
People want to know. And again, the cool part is, when we get Katie and Richard on, they can both sense, comments from the living, or the living that have now passed on, and even pets. So that's kind of interesting. So maybe we can get some chatter from someone's pets tonight on the show.
All right,
welcome
pal.
to the city with a heart of gold. Lisa welcoming our guests. Look at Lisa, always opening up her arms for our show. And Anne says, always love getting messages from loved ones. Yes, I think we all do. Christine says, I have a lot of loved ones who have passed. My stepdad last week. Sorry to hear that. Our condolences to you.
All right, pal. I'm going to bring on Rich and Katie. Are you ready?
I'm ready to go. Rich Ruland and Katie Turner.
There they are. Let's put them up top, Kinsman, because we'll
go down below. Yeah,
you go on the bottom where you belong there, Kinsman.
Hello,
Katie and Richard. How are you doing?
Great, guys. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us tonight.
No problem. I love having multiple guests. Now, Richard, you don't know this, Kinsman. He's actually calling in from the States. Did you know that?
I know that, and I'm gonna out him right now. He's calling from Tennessee. Is where he's from.
Oh, wow.
I'm still gonna say a boot before it's done.
Boot?
A boot.
Now, do you want me to run to the fridge, Rich, and grab bagged milk? We were chatting about this. You still call us crazy for using bagged milk up here in Canada.
That's right. We'll have to get to the bottom of that. And how are you doing, Katie? Thank you for joining us. Oh, let's get Katie's on mute, I think.
Is Katie on mute?
Yeah, Katie.
There we go. Katie, we can hear you now. Are you there?
I'm here.
How are
you? Live and proud. So I really want to get this going. I know we're going to have a ton of questions and comments from the audience, but on our show a couple of days ago, there was a debate about the spiritual world, and I feel like I lost because I said I do believe in spirits because my mom has passed and I do feel her presence, usually scorning or lecturing me still, which is per the norm. I like that. But I have a hard time believing that there's ghosts. And when I say ghosts, I'm talking like Ghostbusters, the ones you see in the movie. And I'm like, I've never seen a picture of a ghost. So maybe we'll start with Katie. Is there a difference between the spiritual world, something you can feel, if I'm explaining it right, and ghosts, to me, something you can see, like a Slimer or something? Like, is there a difference between the two, or are they one of the same?
Okay, so that's a really broad question, and I'm going to narrow it down a little bit. For those of you that don't know, there are different forms of paranormal activity. In my opinion, we do differ. There are ghosts and there are spirits, and they're two separate things. Now, dealing with something like Slimer is more of an ectoplasmic type of situation where it's becoming physical. And I don't want to get Ghostbuster on you, but that's essentially what it is the fact that it's a physical manifestation of something paranormal. So to say that ghosts or spirits can leave footprints, can physically manifest as you would see them in your present eye, absolutely they can form. But you have to understand that it takes an exorbitant amount of energy for that to happen, and it's less likely than other activity. So there's many different forms of communication. It could be through EVP or electronic voice phenomena. There could be, they're causing electrical malfunctions or changes in your EMF or electrical circuits. There's a lot of different ways that they can communicate. It doesn't just have to be physical manifestation.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah. I feel like I lost that debate on the show now. I feel I've definitely lost it now, Kinsman.
I think you've lost it there. And again, I'm going to say that maybe they're not firm non-believers, but maybe just a little skeptical until it does happen. Because I was telling you the last show, and just briefly, worked at a haunted radio station where the Stable Boy entity, the station was built on an old farm that burnt down, and then the Stable Boy entity was always there. He passed away in that fire, and they even used that in the interview. So I thought, okay, they're full of are they full of poop here? They actually asked that in the interview. And again, I had some encounters, but nothing any serious. Maybe the odd reflection coming in, but is that my psyche taking over?
Are you asking a question, or do you need help, Kinsman?
I don't know. There's times where, in the radio studio where there was this entity standing over on this the glass staring down, and I would feel the hair stand up on my back of my neck. It would get cold going down the staircase at night. You'd hear weird things, chairs rolling across, the newsroom where there was no one working at the time. So I was a firm believer when I worked in Owen Sound that yes.
But you're not the expert, Kinsman. We have the experts. So you've talked about this radio guy forever. Let's ask Richard. Do something like, if you get a story like Mark is consistently talking about this. Are there people who really want to believe the spiritual world exists and they see things? Or did Mark actually encounter something? I know it's hard to tell with a quick 30-second introduction, but in your experience, is there a difference between people who really want to feel it? Like, I really want to feel my mom in my presence.
Right.
Do you believe like she's actually there, or is it just me like really wanting it to happen?
Yeah, I think it's a case of both. I think our mind is probably one of the most powerful weapons that you could have. It's your best friend or your worst enemy. But as far as what he was experiencing, those are if you're able to convict yourself of what you've seen, then there's something to believe in, right? But as far as what Wikipedia says a ghost is it says it's a physical manifestation of a spirit. So, and a lot of the time I've noticed in my experience and my research that if you catch something out of the corner of your eye, that's what it was meant for. It's just something to kind of give you the hint that there's something there. Now, a lot of skeptics that I've come across in the years aren't skeptical. They are just people who have never had a very traumatic or very dramatic paranormal experience before. They want to believe. They just not had anything that went, oh, by the way, I'm here. So that's where the biggest problem comes in. And that leaves a lot of people in a skeptical room. No, that can't be. No, I didn't see it. No, I didn't, But the minute that it happens to you, it gets up in your face, like it happened to me when I was a cop. You can't ignore that. You just can't ignore that. It's just too up in your face.
Now, you say it happened when you were a cop in New York City. Can you tell us what happened that night?
We responded to a call called See the Man, which is a call that is a complainant had made a phone call into the police department. We get there to the address of the complainant, and he points to a house across the street, says, there's lights going on over here. I'm actually even seeing people in here, and this place is abandoned. Shouldn't be anybody in there. My partner and I go in. Weapons drawn. He clears to the left. I clear to the right. I cross over a threshold into a room I believe to have been a parlor or dining room, and then right in front of me appears a man. And I draw my weapon up, and then as soon as I drew my weapon up, he disappeared again. You can ignore that. You can. I took it, and I added it to the report, as I should have. You're supposed to report on everything. And I reported on it, and I caught a lot of heat over that. I took a lot of heat over that.
Yeah, I bet. So many interesting encounters. So, Katie, I know we go all over the map on this show because we get excited like always. But if I had to sit down and I said, Katie, can you explain the paranormal world to me? And I'm asking a massive question again. But since I know nothing about it, obviously it's not the world we know that exists that we see every day. But is there a way to explain it to us? Like, what is the paranormal world?
So the definition of paranormal is other than normal. It's not something you would logically be able to have an explanation to. And I think that in terms of education, we are still very, very naive to this. This is something that, we have been researching for years. There are, very dedicated paranormal investigators. There are people who invested their whole time, like their whole life into this field. I myself, that is something that has become kind of, it's my passion. So, I'm looking into being able to get the best evidence possible. I don't think it comes down to believing whether it exists or not anymore. It's about being able to collect the proper evidence. And so, to answer your question about the paranormal, it is very real, but it's on a different vibrational frequency than we oscillate at. So a lot of times when you have paranormal activity or you have, a glimpse of something, it's simply a glimpse. It's quick. It's a fast voice, it's a fast movement, it's a fast shadow, and that's because it is operating at that higher vibration. So it's very hard to kind of capture. And so as investigators, that's what we do, is we're trying to nail it down. We're trying to find a good source of conductivity to be able to communicate back and forth. Richard and I are both psychic mediums as well. So that kind of lends its hand in us going into an investigation or into a haunted location because we have greater antennas, let's call it, to be able to communicate with them. To put a physical description onto it, I truly think that a lot of people see it differently. The cool thing about entities is that they don't have to limit themselves to one image. They can manifest in very different ways. Not every little girl, spirit of a little girl, is really a little girl. In a lot of cases, they're trying to confuse you and to trick you into thinking that there's something good, but really there's something bad. So I don't know if that answers your question, but
interesting. We I don't want to miss all the questions we're getting because we're going to hog all the questions here, Kinsman. But yeah. Lynn's asking, maybe we can ask this to Richard. Is it true that a butterfly is a sign of passed on relatives?
Could be. I mean, there are. The thing of it is that, for example, loved ones. Katie's even brought this to me as her story. She's got loved ones that leave coins. Then there were butterflies, then there were birds, and then there's just a multitude of things that they can do to associate you with them, so you have an idea who that is. But yeah, I mean, I would never refute that a butterfly as an example of a visitation is not a visitation. It most likely would be, just especially if it's in a situation where a butterfly typically would not be there, right? So you have to look at the aspect of what was the intent of the notification or the visitation. Like I said, I think it's really great with Katie. And, let her tell that story. But with Katie, it's finding coins. With me, it's crazy, but it's frogs. So there's this different levels of notifications that you get that, hey, you're not alone. And hey, by the way, I'm still here. There are a lot of associations that people have with family members or decedents that have gone on that, just between the two of them. And that is just their way of getting notified that, hey, I'm here. But it could be it could be a butterfly. I mean, there is a multitude of things it could be.
Absolutely.
Here's a question, Mark, from Marnie.
Yeah, Marnie says, would you consider precognition as part of the spirit world?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. That is the spirit world is, I guess, in a nutshell, energy. Okay, and how the energy manifests is very different ways. So as you're tapping into that precognition or the extrasensory perception, to that, you're tapping into that universal consciousness, and it's vast. So yeah, absolutely, it could be.
Lori's asking, well, I guess we'll just keep going back and forth here. For Mark and I get confused easy.
Yeah,
so
well, let's get Lori's out there. What does it mean when you're alone and you feel as though someone tapped on your shoulder?
Someone probably tapped on your shoulder. No, I mean, honestly, it's a lot of it. Again, you have to also understand that they are trying to get your attention. They may be, and again, it depends on how open you are. People who watch the television shows, are more open metaphysically. Subconsciously, the more open. So there's an opportunity there where someone may come in, and that might be their opportunity because you're so open. That may be their opportunity to get your attention, and tapping you on the shoulder may be it. I don't know of anything that could be debunked of tapping you on the shoulder if you're sitting on a couch and someone taps you on the shoulder or something taps you. I mean, you gotta give that. But yeah, no, I mean, it really just, if you're open enough, anything can happen in the paranormal. And most oftentimes when you're by yourself, you're a little more susceptible, and than you would be in a big group. It's just easier access to you only. So yeah.
And it comes down to what you're thinking about when that shoulder tap happened. A lot of times they're tapping into your consciousness. So if you're reminiscing about something, if you are, at a moment where you're feeling depressed, or you're excited about something happening and you get that tap at the shoulder, pay attention to that, because that's really what they're trying to do. It's kind of like a game of charades for them. They're trying to pass on, a message or a warning, per se, that perhaps maybe you're thinking you need to go to the store to get milk, and you're getting a tapping on your shoulder. It might be a good idea to delay that, or it might be a good idea to, drive extra careful, because you don't know if they're trying to warn you of something.
For Katie, like me, I'm a big movie fan. So we were chatting earlier today, like the Paranormal Activities, the Exorcism, the Conjuring. Have these movies? I know they spike interest in the paranormal world, but have they hurt because everything in Hollywood's glamorified, and they're a certain situation exploded to make it entertaining? Has this helped the paranormal world, or has it hurt it?
I think a little bit of both. I think there is good quality television out there. Richard and I have both been part of television shows. We have colleagues in the field that are presently on shows, and they're really bringing education to the forefront. So it's a fantastic thing. But I think we have to remember that exciting television, scary television, is what gets ratings, not only in the television industry, but in Hollywood itself. So there are truths to some of these TV shows and movies, and then you have to realize that sometimes it is for that jump factor, it is for that scare factor. So I think that you don't always go to the worst case scenario, and I think that that's what society has been trained to do right now. There are some other paranormal television shows out there that it's all about demonic. It's all about the end of the world. It's hell. And I can tell you, for 21 years, I've been paranormal investigating, on a serious basis, and I can count on one hand the amount of demonic entities that I've come across. I'm not saying they're not prevalent, they're not there, but it's not kind of what you're thinking and what you're going to every time you watch these shows. So I think it's, please be advised, as they put up on the screen, viewer discretion is advised, and take what you need out of it.
Well, here's a question I want to ask you, I guess directed at Katie. I think it was Amanda's comment. I'm going to go back and find it here, Jamie. Amanda Castagay says, after her dad passed away, she always sees numbers after my grandma passed, she finds dimes. And it's funny, I've started, when my grandfather passed away, about 4 years ago, I'll find the odd dime. I'm thinking, did I lose this? But you find them frequently. So again, is there a tie to them leaving, little trademarks like dimes like that?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They are able to give us little signs and symbols, and that's as humans, we'll call it. We and television has kind of ruined it, and so we expect, again, the worst case scenario. We expect a full-bodied apparition of our grandfather to show up and go, "Ooh, I'm here," and that's just not plausible. Sometimes you have to realize that these are not physical beings. They don't have a voice box. They don't have physical hands. So it takes a lot of energy for them to be able to manifest a dime and place it where they want to place it, not to mention other things. The numbers are a little bit different. In my experience, numbers represent affirmations. Numbers represent validation. So if you're thinking about something and you're seeing numbers, you're usually on the right path. They're usually trying to tell you that you're on the right road and to continue, or if you've asked for validation, so you're asking, your guides or your God or whoever you're praying to, you're kind of getting that validation for it. And so it's just basically you're at the right place at the right time.
Very, very cool. This is I can spend about 12 hours with these folks, Kinsman.
Right. And Don asking a comment here. If you can communicate with spirits, can you tell me about how the afterlife works?
Who are you asking, Kinsman?
Let's ask Rich.
The spirit life, I will tell you, if you ask an entity or a spirit in a building during the course of an investigation, what is it like on the other side? Mm-hmm. You're not going to get an answer. I have been asking that question in several ways, different ways, for 25 years. They are not to give that out. That is kind of the part of the protocol, that it is designed to be a mystery until you get there. They will not. I mean, they are steadfast about that. And I've asked in so many other ways. Now, I've gotten electronic voice phenomena that says, go with God, go with Jesus. I've gotten that class A, which means I didn't have to manipulate it in any way or enhance it. And it came out just like you and I are talking. Mm-hmm. But that's as far as it got. I've never had any of them ever say, well, on this side, it's like this and like this and like this. No. You'll never get it. Katie, you can agree with that?
I can agree. I do a lot of meditation, and I do a lot of, astral projection and those types of things. And I think we have to realize that it's, again, you're not physically going to a place. You're going to a different vibrational frequency, and there's different levels or elements to it. So, you're going to your personal heaven. You're going to your personal place. Okay. And within those levels, there's certain things that you need to be doing. So some people get stuck at certain levels. And the only way to describe it is people say to me, or I should say, spirits say to me, it's warm. It's like the sun. It's you'll get EVPs back where they'll say peace. When I'm doing readings for people, they'll say I'm happy, or they'll show me a beautiful garden, or they're sitting at a beautiful dock. Now, is that a literal thing where they're literally sitting at a dock? Right. I think it's more of a projection of how they feel comfortable or their favorite place in life. And that's kind of how they're doing it. I personally think that hell is not down below. I think it's what you make of death, what you're feeling in vibrationally when you cross over. So it just depends. Everybody's different.
Do we for Richard, is there a connection between our dreams and the spiritual world?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. During the time of your process when you're sleeping, before you go into REM sleep, for example, you are at your most vulnerable for visitations metaphysically. Mm-hmm. That is when people come up and they get up in the morning and go, man, I had a dream. My mom came to me. Man, I had a dream. My uncle came to me. My God, I had a dream. This really nasty entity, this nasty being that kept me awake and gave me nightmares. And there is a connection. There is a very solid connection between the dream state and the awake state with the paranormal involved. Again, that is when you're most vulnerable. So, people who are getting these nightmares and having these recurring nightmares and dreams, there's a very large connection. And again, that's unfortunate. Like I said, that's your weakest point, is right before REM sleep.
Right.
Twilight sleep is what they call it. But yeah, twilight sleep. Yeah.
Oh, just a zillion questions for Katie. So for example, if someone comes to see you for a psychic reading, like can you walk us through that process a bit? You know, we know what we see in the movies again. That's how far as Mark and I's education is going, right? With the dark lit room and the candles and maybe a Ouija
the big crystal ball in the front.
Right. But I'm sure it's not like that in real life. What do you experience when you go in for a reading with yourself or Richard, or maybe it's different between the two of you?
It is different.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Katie.
I'm kidding. No, okay. So I think the first misconception is that you have to have a crystal ball and you have to have, your bandana and call me now.
Okay.
You look good in a bandana, by the way.
All psychics work differently. We all work differently. Okay. I can't say that no two psychics are the same. But the first thing is there's psychics and there's mediums and there's psychic mediums. Okay. So a psychic may not be a psychic medium, but a psychic medium is a psychic. And that's kind of convoluted, but psychic is a person who can tap into timelines, past, present, and future. They can predict future events. Okay. Psychic mediums are people that can tap into people who've passed away. They can tap into and communicate with those who have died. So for myself, I used to be on the road a lot. I used to travel and meet people in person and do lots of in-person shows and gallery readings and such. And COVID kind of tied my hands that way. So I was kind of pushed and pressed to do it online. And I didn't like it at first. But essentially what we do is we do a video session, we chat back and forth. And I have you have some questions prepared as well as pictures of people you'd like to ask about, living or dead, animal or human, and we kind of go from there. And I give you what I can give you. I think if somebody is looking to get a psychic reading or a psychic medium reading done, it's really important to look at references. It's really important to kind of do your research and make sure you're getting somebody reputable, because as we all know, there are people that make our industry look bad, and that's not what we want. But in terms of, trying to get answers for something, you really got to make sure you know what you're getting into. You don't want to be disappointed if somebody can only read future events. I think the next kind of advice or information I give to people is that, a tarot card reader versus a cardistry reader versus a psychic medium versus, psychometry reader, it's all about antennas and how they download or kind of get the information to give to you. So, oftentimes people will say to me, well, I've had a psychic reading, but I've never had a tarot card reading. It's a lot of it is the same. It's just how the reader is interpreting the information or allowing the information to come through as a conduit. So it really comes down to how and what resonates with you as to how you want to be read.
Wow.
Here's a good question for Richard.
Yeah.
How can you tell if a psychic or a medium is truthful?
Okay. Yeah. All right. So there's a real quick way to do it. I do it with, it's a great question, actually. And you need to be really careful. No offense. The reality of it, especially if they're charging you. Yeah. I mean, Katie is probably one of the best psychic mediums I've ever known or met. Mm-hmm. I actually haven't met her physically yet, but she's one of the best I've ever known. And there isn't anything I go to her for my readings. All right. So, because you can never read for yourself. See, that's the trick of being a psychic medium. You can't do anything for yourself. You can do things for the people, help them get closure, yada, yada, yada. All right. So what I do, like I had a reading today and over the phone. And, there are, when you're working with the person's loved ones, they can give you little clues, what I call confirmation notes, particular things like, a lady who was wearing a plaid shirt. I didn't know, but I'm getting a plaid shirt. And there's something about this gentleman's plaid shirt. What's going on with his plaid shirt? And it's like, oh my God, I'm wearing his plaid shirt. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. When you look out your back window of your kitchen, do you see that tree all the way to the left that looks really creepy? Like from a horror film, right next to a little white picket fence. Yeah, that's got a portal attached to it. So, there are just little things like, how would I know that, right? I mean, how would I know about a tree out of her back window to the left? It's those little confirmation notes. I mean, if somebody comes to you as a reading and goes, well, you had somebody that died of cancer. No kidding. Really? Okay. But it's just kind of one of those things where they're just, again, in the dead, I call them decedents, right? Because I'm an old cop, but the dead, are real big on giving you confirmation points. I had a girl that I was doing a tour as a guest celebrity on this tour, and this young girl I was getting messages about people, and this young girl came walking over to me crying her eyes out. And I literally, looked at her and thankfully made a very quick connection. And she was very skeptical of psychic mediums. And I made a very quick connection with her. And I said, "You almost died, didn't you?" And she went through and she was confirming everything I was getting. What she didn't know until the end was I was getting an information from the son that she lost in utero, because the spirit continues to grow with time. It continues to age. So I could still see there was some skepticism with her. And then he is telling me, ask her why she hates bananas. All right, that's random, okay? That's random. And I literally looked at her. I said, "What's the problem with bananas?" And she went, "Oh my God," and she fell apart. But again, if you get a psychic medium, Katie's great with that as well, you get confirmation notes that you need to tell the client. That way they know that, hey, you're really connected to someone they're wanting to talk to or has a message for them. But there's a lot of times that's another reason why that I don't. Katie does gallery readings. I won't. I will do individual readings because, it's for me, there's on average 3 to 5 people from the other side for almost each person in that room. Guys, a lot of people, right? So now you're in a room with 20. Now you're in a room with 20 living people. Quick math tells you that's 60 to 75 entities in that particular room.
That's a lot of entities. Yeah,
that's a lot of dead people, guys. That's a lot of dead people.
Not even the Ghostbusters are getting out of that room, kids.
Oh, the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I will tell you a funny story. I had, and I'll let Katie take a question because she's also got a lot more eloquence when she speaks than I have. So I call her the paranormal Wikipedia. But, I had this same tour. This lady that runs the tour is not very well versed in the paranormal investigation world, right?
Yeah.
What she knows of paranormal investigating, she calls this Ghostbusters.
Right.
No. That was a funny movie in the 70s.
Yeah.
Not so funny now.
Right.
When I'm dealing with your dead person that was your Uncle John. Is it funny? No, it's not funny anymore. So yeah, it's just how people look at it. It's just a moniker that we all got left with, I guess. But so long story short, that's kind of where it all goes with reading people. You got to give them confirmation notes.
Yeah,
they got to know you're dealing with the right person.
What a wild! I love this subject.
Isn't it a great subject? I want to ask this question. I'm going to throw this at both of you. Maybe Katie first, then Rich. Obviously growing up, you've got something different that not everybody has the ability to, see, people and hear messages. When was it for you both? When you first started, knowing that you had this special gift?
You know what? It started before I can recollect. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
My parents tell me stories of things that I would say to them or spirits I would see, even 2-3 years old. As soon as I could kind of talk, I was kind of giving them signs of things. It wasn't until I moved on to, I grew up in a very small town on a farm, and it was a very haunted farm. And I started having a lot of experiences there. And it was, I'd probably say 9, 10, 11, 12, I was very intrigued. It was really kind of happening fast and fluid a lot. And so I started doing a lot of research. I was, at the library looking things up. I was trying to get my hands on documentaries. I was really intrigued by it. So it kind of flourished from there. It just got bigger and bigger. In high school, I started doing some paranormal investigating on my own, trying to kind of validate what I was seeing because I didn't want to be crazy or feel crazy. And it wasn't until, college and after college that I actually developed my paranormal team. So it just it's always been there. I don't know what it's like to not have these abilities.
Wow.
Yeah, just unreal. I wasn't born with any antennas for that. I'll tell you that.
No antennas for that.
I wasn't blessed with these skills, Kinsman, at all.
Well, I will tell you, mine happened. I mean, I think I had everything going on as a child as well. But when my father passed, I was 18, and he passed on. I was 18 years old. Life's crazy when you're 18 as a male, let alone as a female. Sitting down on a floor watching television, I look over to my right, and there he is appearing in a chair in the dining room, and that floored me. I'm like, no, I didn't see that. And I look over again, and he actually turns his head and looks at me, and it disappears. So at that point, I wanted to know more. I wanted to know what in God's name I just saw. And it kind of leads you down the path. Now, when you have, the more exposure, I believe, and Katie, maybe you can back me up on this, the more exposure you have to the paranormal, okay, the more your senses, the more your sensitivities, abilities are heightened. I'm now able to do remote viewing. So I can, from my house, go to your house and tell you how you're sitting in a chair. Mm-hmm. That happens with time and events that happen in your life. But, mine was due to a near-death experience. So, it just happens that way. But 68% of the living have a latent ability. They're just not sure what it is or even recognize it. But they have it. But most of the time we're busy going, no, that doesn't happen. No, that didn't happen. No, that we're so busy putting up those blocks, we're never going to recognize what we've got.
Wow. 68%.
68%.
That's pretty awesome.
So again, is that the 68% that see the dimes or feathers or those telltale signs of people with that ability?
That's 68% of the people that don't already know they have abilities. Yeah. See, that's the thing. It's the people that don't. Oh, that's it's like you guys. Oh no, I'm not. That's not me. I'm not that guy. You don't know you're not that guy. You won't know until something triggers your ability to rise. Then you'll know. But you got to be accepting. You got to be open to be able to experience it. And sometimes that's tough for us because a lot of the times when people were, I never seen anything. I never this. I never that. Really, it's your mind protecting you. It's your mind saying you're not ready for that yet. So I'm not going to let you see that yet. So that's really what it comes down to, is where you're at mentally, where you're at emotionally, however you want to put it. And then your ability to be open enough to be able to recognize your own abilities, your own skills, your own sensitivities.
We get a lot of skeptics. And that comes with the territory. We get a lot of people who are ignorant. And I feel sorry for those people because they don't get to experience what we experience. So I get asked this question a lot. Prove paranormal exists. And I ask them to prove it doesn't. If you can prove it doesn't, I'll sit down with you. But you can't prove it doesn't exist. We can use pieces of equipment as well as validation through readings, through investigation to be able to validate these things that we would not know. And so, I often invite skeptics to local investigations that we go to because, they're the best. They're the ones that are screaming and running the fastest. And it's kind of entertaining when you watch them flip that switch and they start to enjoy it. They're starting to have these experiences, and now they're starting to see what the rest of us are seeing.
Yeah.
We're getting a whole ton of questions and comments, and a lot of people are asking how they can book a meeting with either one of the two. We're definitely going to have them share their information at the end of the show. We'll definitely get to that. We have a question from Adam. Do you think that it's a spirit that helps you get out of a near-death situation, or guardian angels?
Yeah, both.
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
both. Yeah, yeah. Thanks, Adam, for the question. Appreciate seeing you on the show too.
If it's not your time, it's not your time. If it's we have to understand that absolutely everything that we're doing is kind of planned in a way, and it's not written in stone. The future is fluid, but we do have milestones that we're supposed to be meeting. So oftentimes people have episodes of deja vu, and that's very real. That's a whole nother topic, but essentially, you're remembering what you've written for yourself. Okay, so there's lots of things that are happening. In terms of spirits and guardian angels, they jump in at different times. We have, there's also guides. Guides are different from guardian angels. And then you have your loved ones that look over you and protect you at the same time. So everybody's got a little bit of a different job on the other side.
Yep.
Are you getting a question? Actually, I've seen this come up a couple times. I don't know how you can do this, but maybe we'll ask Richard, are you getting any vibes from the viewers?
All the time. We get it every show. We've done our show, and we've actually captured on the recording of the show electronic voice phenomena in my house, in Katie's house. You know, so we're connected 24/7. There's no hiding from this. So, you know, in this chat, in this audience, and those that are coming up and everything else, there's a ton of energy, and we have that happen every single show. And it's funny because when you have so many people going again, it's kind of like flash, 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 flash. You really can't hone in on one particular person because there's so many people involved. So yeah, that happens a lot. We've had several of our viewers for our show actually reach out to us after the show and go, hey, at 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 49 seconds, there's this EVP. I mean, they're watching the show now partially just to capture EVPs.
Wow.
It's hilarious. It really is. It's great, but it's hilarious. And hey, they're unpaid guests. So hey, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Tuning in and, you know, zoned into the, obviously, you know, you two bring a special energy. They're, you know, zoned and, you know, attached to you too. So that would explain a lot of the, you know, as they say, paranormal activity.
Yep.
I should be working with Katie and Richard there, Kismet. All you do is bring me a coffee once in a while. They offer a lot more on that. Tell me a little about Katie for the paranormal investigation. So once again, my knowledge is very basic, so please excuse the explanation. But are these folks that would pick up the phone and say, listen, there's something weird going on in my house, in my workplace, at my cottage, and can you come and investigate? Am I explaining that properly?
Absolutely. I get contacted on a weekly, at least weekly. Every other day I get contacted from people saying, oh my God, I think there's something in my house. Oh, I think I'm going crazy. Oh, you know, I have a negative attachment. What do I do? So as paranormal investigators, it's our job to go in and not only try to collect and correlate evidence, but to debunk things as well. Because again, sometimes people have been watching, you know, a scary movie and you know, the mouse in the wall is chewing and they seem to think it's paranormal and they're convinced that that's what it is. It's a demon and get it out. So it's not only is it our job to kind of find that evidence, but it's our job to kind of say, calm down. This is what we found. Okay. So basically as investigators, we're collecting evidence and we're presenting it to the client. For myself, because I'm a psychic, I work a little differently. So when I go to a location, when I do readings for people, when I go to a haunted location, I don't want to know any information. Okay. So if you were to contact me and call me, I would ask for your first name, your last initial, and your phone number. That's it. I don't want to know anything until we're ready to go. Don't contact me. Don't call me. Don't look at me. Nothing until we're, you know, that scheduled meeting. The same principle goes when I'm going to a location, because believe it or not, the more you know about something on a personal basis, the harder it is to grab the information. So I like to go to a location as blind as possible in terms of, you know, not knowing anything. I do my walkabout. I pick up what I can pick up on a psychic level. And then I try to turn my psychic abilities down and utilize equipment with my team. And we use the equipment to kind of collect that evidence. After the investigation is done and we've torn down the equipment, we'll take, you know, a few days, we'll go over the evidence. And if we've been able to capture anything and correlate it from what I picked up on a psychic level, then we'll present it to the client. And it's at that point, you know, if we feel it's something demonic, if I walk into a location and I'm like, whoa, enough, like I can't do this, then I would ask to be doing cleanses and all of that at the same time. If it was something demonic, I've gotten dioceses involved. We've gotten demonologists involved and priests involved to try and help these families. Most of the time when it's a haunted location or a client contacts us, they've been dealing with it for a while. It's not like it just started a week ago.
Oh, okay.
They've dealt with it, they've suffered with it, and they're at their breaking point where their children can't sleep, or, you know, it's affecting their relationships and they need help because it's taboo, right? Nobody wants to admit that they're suffering from this. So it's just our job to find it, basically.
This sounds like such an amazing field to be in,
right? And an amazing field to work in, and you know, so many questions. We've got probably over 400 questions.
Well, yeah.
So just to be clear, ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking to get a paranormal investigation, it's a wonderful career, but it doesn't pay. We don't charge for investigations. I don't charge when I work at the police on a psychic level. I don't charge to go to your house. We don't charge to do cleansings. So it's a labor of love for us. And if anybody says to you, for $1,000, I can get rid of your evil spirit, find somebody else, because that's not how it works. Any reputable, respected, good investigator is going to do it to help. That's why we're doing these things, right? So I encourage everybody to do your research on your paranormal teams as well.
So for Richard, just to piggyback off what Katie was saying, do you, maybe either one of you, but Richard, do you get calls that saying there's someone that's been missing? Can you go to the place where they think they were gone missing, and can you help us find this person? You know? Yeah,
actually, Katie and I have worked a little bit on a missing persons case, and we've come to what I believe both of us have come to a pretty honest conclusion to the case. But it happens, you know. Most of the time, people will reach out. We do a lot of online evidence reviews for people. They'll send pictures. Oh, hey, look at this, or hey, listen to this, or, you know, or they'll reach out and offer their homes. For me, I will do a private residence if I get to cleanse it when I'm done, because I don't want to leave them with the activity, the paranormal activity, when I go. Because when you go into a home, a residence, a family's home, you are now going in there as a person who gets to leave when you're done. They don't. So when I go into a residence, I'll, what I call, smoke it out. I'll get a really good grip on what's going on. You know, maybe I'll run some questionings through it. But even with that, when you have a paranormal team come out to your home and they start doing EVP questions, guess what? That's a seance. So all they're doing at that point is just cranking, and then they get to go home. Yeah, with mine, I will either do straight up cleansing. I won't even investigate in the home. Or I will do a short investigation to kind of confirm what I'm feeling, because sometimes the paranormal can be a little convoluted. And then once I get a good grip of what I'm dealing with, that also tells me how I need to deal with it as a person who cleanses the home. But, you know, if you've got claims at home, you've got issues at your house where, you know, people are being scratched and you know, kids are being harmed. I mean, kids are my first priority. It's like they are with Katie. If we get a call from a potential client and you've got kids, you're going to the top of the ladder. That's just how that works. But I tend to kind of drift away from the residentials unless I have to, because frankly, there's also the human factor, right? You have to worry about what are they doing. And no offense, you also have to know what they're doing in their lives. Because sometimes people are on, you know, antipsychotics for reasons, right? And that'll alter your brain activity. You know, they're also living in constant anxiety or PTSD, and that actually enhances how you're receiving stuff as well. So you really have to be careful of what you're getting into. Now, with the location itself, an actual just a building, I will typically remote into the building prior to my team going there, so I can get a good grip of what might be potentially harmful, because I don't want my team getting hurt. You know, what might be potentially harmful. And I'm able to thankfully drill down to the particular characters of the building and know who I'm dealing with before I go in there. And, you know, some people on my team call it cheating. Yeah. Right. I'm okay with it, you know, but it's just, to me, that's how I'll go into a lot of investigations, especially places I don't know. No, I don't want to know anything about it, but I'll remote view into it from my home and just kind of basically traverse the building and pick up where I might need to be more careful, or the team might not need to go here, or they might not need to say this. And I'll get all that from the activity in the building.
Oh, geez. Oh.
Yeah.
So interesting. And of course, you know, while Richard was speaking, we got a whole ton of more questions. There's no time for your questions, Kinsman. Sorry. Maybe for Katie, because she is she's in Canada.
Ontario,
with this. But have you ever been asked to help out with the Melanie Ethier case? So it's a missing persons case. It's actually close to our neck of the woods. Does that name ring a bell?
I have not. No, I have not. And I usually, unless I have something prevalent, like it comes to me, I wait and I'm approached usually by the police or by a detective or somebody close to the family, I don't normally reach out because I feel sometimes it's received sometimes not the greatest. So it's all about respect, right?
Okay.
Just a quick point to that. Just a quick point to the missing cases stuff that Kitty just brought up, right? We prefer, as a former cop, I'm just going to say this. So we prefer to have the authorities reach out to us because here's a fast way for you to become a person of interest in a case. Oh, by the way, officer, there's a dead body in the forest 75 yards that away. How did you know that? So it's humorous. It's humorous to a point, but it's very, very true. On this particular case that Kitty and I worked together on briefly, that was brought up by the person who reached out to us. Well, hey, maybe we'll just go ahead and have the police reach out to you. No. Let's not say we did.
Well, and I guess too, if there's a missing persons case and you start knocking on someone's door saying, "Listen, I can help you out," you more look like an ambulance chaser rather than the family approaching you. So that I get that completely. I've seen enough forensic files, Richard. I know when not to tell them where the body is. So I've learned my
That's
lesson.
Right.
Okay, for Katie.
From Danielle, it says, she asks, why do evil entities attach themselves to certain people?
Well, okay. So again, this is such a big question. So I'm going to try to answer this the best I can. Energy gets attached to people because it resonates with that person. Okay, so it sees a weakness in that person. So it's a parasitic kind of in nature. Okay, so what it's doing is it's clomping on and it's taking your life source. It's feeding off of you. So positive energy is higher. It usually transitions over. So I think one thing that we should kind of reiterate and kind of clarify for you folks is that in my experience, there's two separate things. There's ghosts and there's spirits. Okay. Mm-hmm. Ghosts are the earthbound entities. They're the ones that truly haunt. So I often use the example, if I died as Katie and I chose not to cross over, or I was confused at death, I was trapped here. Okay. Essentially, I didn't make that choice to cross. I would remain as Katie and I would only remember Katie's thoughts. And that's truly what a haunting is normally they just remember as they were in life, in life. A spirit is somebody that has crossed over and often comes back to visit. So they've gone through an ascension process. They have transitioned over to the other side and they come back to visit or to aid when they can. A lot of evil energy is a lower vibration, so it's a darker energy, okay? And so that's why it harbors around. That doesn't mean that every energy you pick up is dark, but that's kind of what happens. It's almost like a hitchhiker effect where they feed off of you. They jump on you and feed off of you. So usually when you're having a vulnerable moment, if you're feeling depressed or anxious, those are kind of the beacons that are put out, and that's how that energy clamps onto us. Wow. That answers your question.
Yeah,
super.
I thought we'd be able to stump them on one, but they know everything about everything here. Okay, well, here's Derek Slider. We'll go over to Richard. Are there locations or places that are more common for paranormal activity?
No, question. Not really. No. There are some because of their size, honestly, will harbor more activities sometimes. A lot of times it also has to do with geography. A lot of places here in the southern U.S., southeast U.S., have underwater rivers and things like that that'll run under buildings. Hales Bar Dam, which is one I was on television for, that was a hydroelectric dam. The water is a conduit. So, you have that kind of an atmosphere. Yes, you're going to have transient spiritual activity. Will it have more than a house? Most likely. But again, it's because of the sheer size of it and what's generating it. But there isn't a safe haven. There is very rarely ever a place you can go where there isn't some spiritual activity. I've had radio shows that I've been on where people would call in and they're like, well, I'm moving to Tennessee. Is there any place that I will go that I won't have it? No.
Right.
Nope. You're going to be not alone everywhere you go.
There's always an entity somewhere attached to someone at any given time.
Yeah, and honestly, too, to kind of further Katie's point on the last question, and we've talked about this, and actually on a show we just did Sunday, energy is attracted and bred by energy. So if you're in a low vibrational place in your life, you're going through depression, you're going through, a struggle. Let's say even if it's a substance issue, that brings you into a very low vibrational energy for yourself, and that will attract low vibrational energy as well, because you're kind of akin. We've talked several times about how to kind of reset yourself, and that's highly important. You really need to know how to reset your energy, and that to us is we talk about almost every other show because it's that important.
We get we're getting a lot of personal requests. I'm trying to navigate through some of these, Kinsman.
I'm going to read Sadia's comment.
Yeah, we got a bunch of these. I don't know if I'll have time to go through all, but
this is Sadia Coronado. She says, "Hi, I'm new here. I have a question. Do you have anything for me? My grandma passed away back in June when my baby was in the NICU. She called me before she passed, and I missed it. Do you think she's upset with me, or do you think she forgave me?"
No, honey. We put a lot of emphasis on what we think our family members would do, what we think would they be upset with us, or will they forgive me? I couldn't make it to their death, or they, a lot of questions. We question this stuff. A lot of times, no, they don't. They're not going to be, when you take that transitional period and you're going, you're ascending and you're becoming that spirit, a lot of these little emotional events or judgment calls, they don't affect you the same anymore. If any psychic ever tells you that there's this big, huge, epic message from the other side, God wants to pull over, he wants to talk to you. Normally, it doesn't work like that. Most of the time, messages from the other side, they just want to validate it's them. They want to give me something to give to you, or a psychic to give to you that you can't question, as Richard had said earlier. So please don't harbor in a lot of those things. You were in a moment of stress, a moment of duress with your child. You were going through a lot of things, and obviously you had other commitments that you had to deal with. Please don't hold that, because the only person suffering from that is you, not your grandmother. So you have to learn to accept that and allow that to kind of pass for you.
A couple comments about the Ouija board. Now, this sounds like a Klomp type of a comment, obviously made by Parker Brothers, but some people, and I know people who use it, personally, and they feel like they've entered into the spirit world. Maybe, Richard, is this just a clever marketing toy made by the Parker Brothers, or is there some truth to, I'm not like the classic Ouija board? Is this used by either one of you?
I've used talking boards, Ouija boards. I've used them myself. Here's the thing. It has nothing to do with the cardboard. It has nothing to do with a piece of plastic with little, clear plastic in it. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do, with your conjuring. You ask questions that require open-ended answers. You're going to get them one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Ouija board just allows you a quicker communication base with a yes and a no, that kind of stuff. But, the problem I have with Ouija boards is not the board itself. It's that most of the time people will go into a home or their home and utilize one, open up a door or a portal of communication, and good, bad, and ugly comes through that thing, and they don't know how to close it. And that's the biggest problem you got. There was a time years ago, there was something called Charlie. So there was this thing going around where you took two pencils and you put another pencil on top of it or something like that, and had a yes or a no quick answer. And people were using that as a talking board. It didn't have to be from Parker Brothers. Yeah, it didn't have to be from Parker. What it is simply is they want to communicate. And if you give them an easy way to communicate, they're going to take it because it's easier. Okay. But when you open that, like I said, when you ask open-ended questions in your own home, which I hope you never do, you're opening that door, that opportunity of communication and entrance into your home. You're inviting it in when you ask the question. And when you invite it in, God bless you, because now you don't know what's walking through the door.
And that's a good point, Richard. I think the major point about that is invitation. contrary to what, Hollywood tells you, evil and negative energy needs an invitation to come in, consciously or subconsciously. So the fact that you are taking the initiative to open the board, to start communication, to ask questions, you are inviting it in. And, you have to look at it like a telephone. Now, when you pick up the phone to call someone, you have someone in mind you want to speak to. You don't just pick up the phone and start dialing numbers. At least most of us don't. But that's essentially what you're doing when you're starting this Ouija board, right? Or a spirit board, talking board. I don't want to pick on just Ouija. There's many different forms of talking boards. Picking up a piece of equipment. Here's a piece of equipment I use all the time. It's called an SB7 spirit box. So what this is essentially a telephone to the other side. If I want to hear real-time conversation, if I want to ask a question and ask for a reply, I'll start this up and I can ask for a reply. There's no difference between this and a spirit board or a talking board. So it's all about who you communicate with or who you're requesting to communicate with and what precedence you're going to allow to come through that board as you're communicating. We've all had viruses on our computer at one time or another. We didn't know how they got there, but somehow we clicked on something and we invited it in. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah.
I didn't do it. I did not do it. I promise. That was not me.
Oh my God. Let's see.
More questions.
Sarah. There's lots. I guess for Richard, can pets pick up on spirits or ghosts in a home?
Ooh, yeah. One of my best investigators, I've been running teams now for 20 years. My best investigator was a black lab. That dog, man, no, seriously. Now, because, the first thing that makes sense about that is that animals are brought into this world and bred into this world without a disbelief system, right? They don't have a disbelief system, but they're able to pick up on energies and things like that. That's why they can read human behavior. They know they can trust you or not because they can read your energy off of you. So when they see energy they don't recognize, they react. Now, King, my dog's name, he would go into a building. If he refused to go into a room, there's a reason why. And, if I was sitting in a room and doing an EVP session, he would lay right down at my feet. Now, that dog got up on all fours like he did several times and throw his shoulders up, and the hair in the back of his body would stand up. And he would actually throw his jowls out like, I'm going to kill you if you come near my master, my human. That was just part of his reaction to it. So, yeah, dogs, cats are big on it too. I always tell people, if your animal is looking up at the ceiling or looking in a corner of a room and barking and acting stupid for no reason, you might have something going on.
Chances are they picked up on the entity.
Yeah. Now, that dog, when I first got him, I saved him from a pound. I had no idea he was that sensitive. And I lived in a home where there was this one particular man passed on. He was a spirit. And he would literally walk across my front lawn every night. It was residual. It just kept on happening whether you're there or not. But he would walk across my lawn and disappear into one of my evergreen trees. He would just disappear. So I went to go walk the dog out, King, for the first time out of my house, and it just happened to be the right timing. And this older man just was walking right across the lawn, and that dog freaked out. Like, oh my God, what is that? What? He started backing up. He was backing up, and he was backing up into me to make me back up because he wanted to protect me. So yes, they are very sensitive.
Wow.
Yeah, animals are very precise. To me, especially while we have two Great Danes in the house, and they know everything what's going on around here. These dogs.
Sure.
How do the question we're getting very often tonight? I thought I'd save it to Katie, and we'll start with Katie, and then of course Richard. If someone wants to get in touch with you, Katie, for a reading, if they have questions, is it social media the best way?
Absolutely. So I have a website, katieturnerpsychic.com. You can start there if you'd like to, have a little look and see what I'm about. You can catch me on Facebook, Katie Turner Sensitive Psychic Medium as well. And along with Richard, we have a wonderful show. It's called Let's Talk About It. And we talk about all things paranormal. It's a live podcast. So there's many different ways that you can reach us. If you have questions, don't be afraid to message me. And we can set something up, or if you're just curious, we can talk about it a little bit more.
Excellent.
There's a lot of interest in
lots of interest tonight. Easily over like 400 or 500 comments going through, people trying to get their comments in there. We wish we could ask them all. We'd probably need 5 or 6 hours on the show.
I'm the one that has to post them all, Kinsman. You got the job just sitting there. I should be asking them, how do I get a partner that wants to work? but Richard, how would folks get in touch with you?
The easiest way to get a hold of me is on Facebook under Richard Ruland, Ruland. That is just takes you right to my personal page. You can reach out to me there. The show actually has its own Facebook page. Let's talk about it. That is its own Facebook page. If you would like to have a topic talked about on our show, let's talk about it paranormal at gmail.com. You're in the process of building a YouTube site for the show as well. Our show is done every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern on my page under Richard Ruland, as well as simulcast at 2 different networks. And if you want to come out and watch the show, we'd love to have you out. It is everything paranormal. So there's questions and answers that we do. Same thing with you guys. Put the questions up on the screen as quick as I can because I'm you. So you put them up as quick as you can, and then make sure that they're relevant and you throw them up. But we do the same thing. We're very interactive with our viewers, and there's no question that is, too ill-educated in the subject matter to ask. We ask it to you no matter what. And we do have people anywhere from enthusiast and viewer on up to, we've had several investigators that have come on, demonologists that have come on to watch the show, just because it's an open network forum, so people can just talk about anything paranormal, and we're good with it. So,
and it's a safe environment. That's the key. It's a safe environment. We don't want people to be afraid to ask questions. Nope. People may be experiencing paranormal activity or be seeing things, seeing spirits, and they were raised to think that that's bad, negative, or that they're crazy. And so we want them to feel comfortable. We want them to know that, it's a family dynamic, that if we don't know the answer, we'll try and find it for you. But otherwise, we're here for your support, basically.
And I will tell you, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I will tell you as well, for those that had questions tonight that didn't have a chance to ask them to us, or maybe you're thinking about it now, going, oh man, now I want to ask, just come out to the show.
Yeah.
Just because we do exactly what these guys are doing. We bring up the questions on screen, and if you have them, bring them to us and we'll get them answered for you no matter what. But this is just a really good way for us to be able to get the education out to those who need it and who want it, and to help you do hopefully a better job as an investor or understand a little bit more as an enthusiast.
If you have time for one more.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
lots of time.
Well, go ahead, Kinsman. I'll let you read it.
Sean asks, love this. Back to an older comment. Can an illness invite that negative energy and in turn bring more negative energy and keep that cycle of low energy present? And how do you stop it?
Ooh. Go ahead, Katie. I'll go after you.
Absolutely. Yes, it can. When you think of it this way, an AM radio, okay, it can only be picked up by an AM antenna, and an FM radio can only be picked up by an FM antenna. So there's only certain signals or frequencies that these things can be picked up. So if you're projecting that, or you're feeling those things, that's how it's going to come back to you. Okay. And you're like a lighthouse. You're a beacon for this stuff. The only way to change that is to heighten your vibration. So grounding techniques, meditation, heck, put a good song on and do a good dance. If you're starting to feel like you're feeling down in the dumps, you have to bring that positivity back into your light. And you're going to realize that once you do this, once you're, being positive, eating healthy, feeling good about yourself, having that self-confidence, a lot of that negative energy is going to kind of blow away. It's not going to be able to attach to you anymore. So it's all about what you put into things and how you view things, right? Our minds are so powerful. If you're feeling negative, you're going to attract negative. That's the way it works.
It's very true. Yeah.
And honestly, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said that's a perfect. I say that philosophy in life all the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Negativity attracts negativity.
And the one thing that we try to, because we get that question a lot of, how do I reset myself? How do I clear myself? How do I and Katie and I are very clear about that. I'm real big on find some running water and go spend 20 minutes, half an hour just sitting there, just absorbing the energy of the water. That high vibrational energy of the moving water will actually help neutralize you. I would also, as we've also talked about too, recommend take your socks and shoes off, stand on the ground. That is the most neutralizing way you can straighten yourself out, besides the other recommendation, which is taking a salt bath.
Maybe don't do that now.
Yeah, let's not do that now. Let's not do that now.
Not a good
it's
because we'll go for another hour with that one. No.
Yeah, but you know what, the big thing, like I mentioned, your show is live on Sundays at 8 p.m. Please check it out. You can ask us a zillion questions. And I got some questions. I just don't want to ask them in front of Mark here. So maybe I'll check out their show there. No, but you know what? Thank you so much. And like I said, we can go on to midnight with this. But we definitely want to have you back on again.
Yes, definitely.
And we got through the whole thing. We didn't do the joke about the lottery numbers, which is overdone. I told you, Kinsman.
I think it's overdone. Well,
I told you it's overdone. Right?
So I pop up in the comments once, but you probably get asked a zillion times. Hey, can you give me the number for the Lotto Max for Friday night?
Yeah, of course. Right? But thank you very much to the both of you. I know you're both really busy. We had a tremendous time, learned a lot. I think I've coming along now. I'm believing in the spirit world and ghosts. So they bent my opinion, Kinsman. So
they bent your opinion, and again, you can follow them. Seeing a lot of the question or comments saying that they've now added you two as friends, so they're going to be following you and sending their questions your way. So there you go. You made some new viewers tonight.
That's great. Glad we could.
All right. And you keep warm, Katie, and you got enough sun over there, Richard, in Tennessee. So I don't know. Just stay safe. I don't know. Well,
not a problem.
Before you go, what's the I always ask because we don't talk about this much on the show. What's the COVID situation over there? People in masks or no masks or what's going on?
In Tennessee?
Tennessee, yeah.
No mask. I knew it.
No, this is the whole concept in Florida kind of moved up and branched out. So you went to Georgia, no masks. Atlanta. No, well, Atlanta has picked up the mask mandate again because of the populace.
Yeah.
Even though this Omicron now, this, Katie was telling me about this new variant we just rolled the dice on too. That's designed to keep us all tied up in our houses for the next 6 years. But no, Tennessee, I mean, we don't have one of the highest counts for COVID. And we're not wearing masks. We're not wearing gloves. I have the time think nobody's even using hand sanitizer. I mean, it's just kind of a thing. But it's just
it's the world.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked with Katie at length about the whole COVID situation there in Canada. Mm-hmm. And much to her chagrin, and I'm sure y'all's chagrin, it's got you guys pretty well locked down. But
we're still in a lockdown up here, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, in some states here in the United States, California being one, New York being another, again, I said even Atlanta and Georgia, they're still buckled down, but that's all because of the populace.
Well, what a world! Yeah, two different countries doing two different things, but well, bless you both. Thank you so much. We're definitely
thanks so much, guys.
Thank you. Pleasure to meet you, gentlemen.
Yeah, nice to meet you both. We'll be in touch very shortly to get you back on because we got a zillion more questions.
Definitely come back for updates, and always a guest here on Kids and Clop Live.
Thank you.
Thank you both.
Bye, guys.
Hey, good night, guys.
Bye. What a
show! Wow.
They are just
amazing.
I'm going to switch us over, but they just the way that they're passionate, intelligent, very well spoken and entertaining about the paranormal world. That there are people that are believers, and there's people that think it's fantasy. But the way they're both able to speak tonight, it opened up my eyes too. I was never a non-believer. I do, like I said, I do believe my mom talks with me, but are there ghosts? Are there people crossing over? But the way that they were able to explain it tonight, I thought it was excellent. Excellent.
And again, the confirmation points, as Rich and Katie were stating, right? Maybe you're not a firm believer, maybe a slight skepticism, but again, those the confirmation points from the spirits on the other side telling us that they're there. And again, I know going back to Amanda Cassingay's comments stating that she finds dimes. I find dimes. Joanne says her mom, passed away recently. She finds quarters left around.
Yeah.
And again, that's the sign from the spiritual world that they're, coming to, make a quick hello just to check on us once in a while.
All right, pal. So we got some prizes to give away. So let's
we do.
Let me load that up before we get out of here. Share screen. All right. Which one we giving away first, pal?
Let's. We're in the middle of an extreme cold warning. Let's warm them up with a week's worth of tanning from Bermuda Tan. Let's send them over there.
You always got now. This is for Bermuda Tan.
Yes.
A week's of tanning. Yes, you and I, by the look of our faces on the stream, we need this. We're looking pale again. Rochelle's going. Say it, Kinsman. Rochelle's going tanning.
She's going tanning. Gail Mills, Bermuda Tan. Congratulations. In game show voice. And it's funny, Rochelle, she was in Facebook jail. She's now back. And that's her first win outside of Facebook jail. So congratulations, Rochelle.
we were getting a question about their show, and it's called Let's Talk About It. And
let's talk
you
about
can find
the podcast.
Hey, you know what I'm going to do, Kinsman? I'm going to multitask while you sit there and just enjoy life. I'm actually going to post the link to the show, and I'm going to click on the draw again because this is for the Ski Runners Pass.
This is for the Ski Runners Pass here.
Oh, that's no, he's from the States.
Timothy Lee?
Yeah.
Sorry, Timothy.
There we go.
Emily.
Yeah, and we had Emily on the show, remember?
Yes, we did, yes. So she's going to go skiing or snowshoeing at Porcupine Ski Runners.
Okay.
And again, there we go. So we'll get in touch with both winners, and we'll put them in touch with their prizes.
All right, pal. And while I do that, I am going to share the link to their page. See all the work I do behind the scenes, pal? You're just enjoying life over there, aren't you? Right?
Oh, yeah. If they saw the work I do on this side of the show.
Who sees that? The spirit world. Okay, so there is the link.
You get
paid? Yeah, I get paid. Yeah. So, anyways, if you click on that link, you can go directly to the show, and that will get you in contact with both of them.
Yes.
All right, pal. You worked overtime tonight.
We're always working overtime.
Oh, but just before I just got another text from Richard.
Okay. What did Richard say?
Well, I asked them to tell me when is Kinsman going to die. And they told me.
Yeah,
you're going to die.
When is it there? Should I be cashing in my life insurance now or what?
Yeah, you're going to die in 2000.